Hey YouTube, I'm James Rich Young, and this is me answering your day trading questions from Instagram and YouTube. First question comes from Tony. How did you transition to full-time trader? I struggle with balancing with my 9 to 5. At the time, I ran an apparel business with my wife. She kind of took over and held down the fort while I was learning all of this stuff. But also I live in the West Coast, so I'm able to trade in the morning session before actually going to work. So I had a pretty flexible schedule, I would say. But on the days I did have to do the whole 9 to 5, I still had 4 to 8, 6 to 10. We all have the same 24 hours. So depending on how serious I am about this profession, if that means me having to change my work schedule or even moving to a different time zone, just completely changing my environment, nothing is too extreme for chasing my dream. Put that on a t-shirt. All right, next question comes from Noah. What are the top 3 things you wish you could tell yourself when you first started? Bitcoin, Nvidia, and GameStop. No, in all seriousness, probably the things that cost me the most money throughout my career would probably be not taking my stops. So just me piling on more shares, trying to average down, hoping to get out break even. I also didn't do so well with over trading, just trying to force money out of the markets. So always take my stop no matter what, and only take the opportunities given by the market and by Bitcoin. KH Tank. As a newbie, how to shorten my learning process so as to achieve trading for a living. So think about the last time you played your favorite video game. I can easily spend hours and hours and it'll never feel like work. And the more hours I put into it, the better I get at the game. And that's how it was for me. I was genuinely interested in the subject and I completely immersed myself in it. I was living and breathing charts and putting in the hours every single day, and it never felt like work. And then to have the right mentor to guide me and push me in the right direction along the way. I don't want to say shorten the process, but accelerate the process. So finding the right mentor, and no matter what, we got to put in the hours. All right, next question comes from Leon. If you could restart your trading journey, would you change anything? I don't think that I would, even though, yes, I made plenty of mistakes throughout my trading career, but I also was able to adjust from it, learn from it, and it helped me grow into the trader that I am today. Now, the only thing that does pop up in my head that I do regret is not starting sooner. If I look back during the pandemic, man, if I had the skill that I had today back then, and I'm not talking about looking at things in hindsight, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I'm talking about the skill I have, because at the time I was still learning and wasn't risking as much. So I wasn't able to capitalize from that huge opportunity. But with this recent tariff mini crash that we had, I was able to, and now I'm having one of my best years ever. So yeah, if I had to pick one thing, definitely starting sooner. Question from Huang. What is your opinion about trading only a basket of stocks, the Mag 7? I mean, there's so many different ways to make money in the markets. The real question is, am I making money? Jack Schwager has a book called Market Wizards, and it's about him interviewing top traders all over the world, trying to see if there's this one secret strategy that everyone knows. What he found out was every single one of them traded differently. They all traded to what suited their own style, their own personality, and what worked for them. So if it can put food on the table every night, it gets a 2 thumbs up from me. Next question comes from Daniel. Have you ever attempted to day trade forex, futures, or crypto before? So this is probably the most repeated question I got, is if I trade anything other than stocks. The answer is I've never traded forex or futures before, but I have dabbled into crypto, but just swing trading, not day trading. It's not for any particular reason. I just think I just kept pushing this rock and just never thought about anything else. And here I am today, still pushing the same rock, trying to master this one thing. And I'm still learning every single day, just like everybody else. The only other thing that I do trade is options, because it pairs so well with stocks. But I like my sleep too, you know, like, I mean, Jesus, if I start to trade the other 24-hour markets, Tyson would forget how I look like. All right, BHC. How do you structure your retirement account? Is it a percentage from your trades? So I have Roth IRAs that I max out every year, and then self-directed IRAs that I fund through an LLC. And then in those accounts, I like to hold stocks that pay dividends. I sell puts to pick up shares, sell covered calls to create cash flow, and the cycle repeats to compound those gains. My man Lloyd, shout out to Lloyd. What do you think will be the challenges of using AI to trade at a high success rate? I think it'll be the same challenges. I don't ever see AI completely taking over, raining cash for me to a point where everyone quits their jobs and just has AI trading for them. I don't see that happening. But what I think AI will be used for is to help with the workload. So faster analysis, faster scanning. But ultimately, I think it'll still come down to my own intelligence and my own skill to come out on top. And if AI were to ever get that advanced, we're probably fucked anyway, because that's how Skynet happens and we get naked robots running around trying to steal biker outfits. SGA asks, do you think someone should pursue trading while below PDT? I think everyone has to start somewhere. I mean, if I didn't have the capital to freely day trade, I can still paper trade, I can still scan for setups, I can still back test and track. Those are all free to do. And I can try to get in as much live trading as I can while I get my money situation right. Bob asks, what is your pre-market routine? So the first thing that I do is I work out, and lifting is very much a part of my pre-market routine, because to get all that heavy lifting done and out of the way literally sets me up and allows me to lock in and not have to worry about anything else but trading. I don't feel like I need to leave anything in the gas tank, if that makes sense. And in between my sets, that's when I'm market prepping. I like to trade gaps. So I have a gap scanner that gives me a list of gaps for that day. And then I have 3 other homies that I trade with. They do the same thing. They send me their list, and then I combine them and make this ultimate list, like we're the Power Rangers. And then I go through each one by one, organizing them on my thumbnail charts, and then putting my favorites on my main monitor on level 2s and order entry boxes, so I'm ready to go at the open. I analyze the broad market, and then when that beautiful bell rings, game time. David asks, you recommend paper trading to build up the skills? Yes and no. What I like about paper trading is getting familiar with the platform, getting to know what all the buttons do, practicing hotkeys, things of that nature. But for actual trading, I prefer using real money. And I'm not talking about anything big here. I'm talking about very minimal, $5, $10, just something to have a little bit of skin in the game. It's like playing poker, right? I mean, if I were to play poker with the Monopoly money, I'm pretty sure I'm playing my hands very differently if I were playing with my rent money. So experiencing and practicing the emotional aspect of it is very crucial, in my opinion. Nick Bands, do you use technical analysis or technical indicators? Yes, I'm a pure technical trader. I strictly trade off the charts. And the only indicator that I use is the simple moving average. I use the 20 period and then the 200. I do use the 8 sometimes on the intraday timeframes, but that's it. I like to keep it as simple as possible. GLS Yes asks, what is your weekly P&L goals? I mean, as much as I can. I don't put a ceiling to my profits, but I do put a floor to my losses, because the way the market works is one day it can be raining opportunities, and then the next day it can be complete dog shit. So on the days that it's great, I want to capitalize as much as I can. And then on the days that it's not, I want to limit those losses. Diogo asks, what is your take on credit debit spreads when trading? Oh, I do them all the time, but in my swing trading account, not in my day trading account. And what I like about debit spreads, I mean, aside from the leverage, I can truly build out a risk-free position if it goes in my favor. The stock can literally go to 0 and I wouldn't lose a penny, versus like a stock position, if I put a hard stop loss on there and the gap's way below that, then I lose more than what my intentions were. And what I like about credit spreads is I don't need to worry about price direction so much. So here's a stock, and let's say I sell a bull put credit spread down here. So price can drop, go up, go sideways, doesn't matter. As long as it stays above this price level, at expiration, I get to keep the full premium. Now, what I don't like about these is the reward to risk. So for every $10, I'm probably looking to collect $1 to $3. So probability may be higher, but that also means less reward. So the only way I do these is if my intentions were to build out like an iron condor. So let's say price goes in my favor, and I feel like it's going to be a temporary top. So what I do is I'll sell a bear call spread up here, bring in another $1 to $3, but I have the same $10 risk because price can't be at two places at once at expiration. So my risk is the same, but I brought in two separate premiums. So that kind of helps with the reward to risk issue there. But if these don't go in my favor, that's when things can get pretty ugly. So yeah, these are a great way to leverage and to limit my exposure, but just got to know what I'm doing. Nathaniel asks, how do you get over the fear, stress, anxiety, nerves when executing a trade? So if I'm sweating every time I get into a trade, it probably means I'm risking an amount that I'm not comfortable with. So what I would do is lower that risk to a minimal amount. And as I start to build confidence in my trading, meaning I see positive results over a long period of time, then I can slowly start to scale up. I don't ever want to be risking an amount where I'm starting to lose my objectivity and start trading emotionally. Yin asks, how do you manage emotion while trading, especially after taking a losing trade? Because I'm very confident in my trading, I know I have probability on my side. I know I'm not going to win 100% of my trades. And in the book, Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas, one of my favorite trading books of all time, he talks about accepting risk versus taking risk. We can all take risk, but do we all truly accept the risk? So I risk $500 per trade, and when I place that order and that order gets filled, I already wave bye to that $500. So anything better than that, I see it as an improvement. So if I only lose half, I see it as I was able to gain back $250. So it's having that little perspective shift. So asking myself, am I truly accepting the risk that I'm taking? Am I trading with probability in my favor? And am I risking an amount that I'm comfortable with? Daru, how many different strategies do you trade and do you optimize them all? I mean, I have a lot. I mean, I trade gap strategies, scalping, swing trading, all the options strategies, earnings, counter trend plays, late afternoon breakouts, breakdowns. Now, do I do them all every day? No. So depending on the market conditions, one may work better than the other because there's seasons to this. I mean, there's quarters where the counter trend strategy, that was the most lucrative. And this year it's been all about scalping. So that's what I've been focusing on. So depending on how that looks for me, that's where I start to focus my trading on. So I'm kind of like an octopus, right? So I start to dial down this strategy, dial up this strategy, and I'm doing that every single day. Hunter asks, overview, what in your strategy says, yes, take this trade? Well, the simple and short answer is if it meets my trading criteria. So there's two things I need. I need a strategy and a setup. I like to trade gaps, so that's my strategy. The setup is like the buy setups, the breakouts, etc. And those are used for me to find ways in to my strategy. Now I can't just sit there and wait for picture perfect setups because then I'll never get into a trade. So what I did was I break down my criteria into must-haves, would like to haves, and cannot haves. So more of those I have, the bigger the yes is. And to go over all of that in detail and have it make sense took about a week to teach at the mentorship. So this is probably not the answer you were hoping for, but that's what I got for you. Raj asks, can you please tell us about how you approach swing trading? Yeah, pretty much the same as day trading, more speculative, purely technical. I pretty much trade the same patterns and setups. I don't really look at fundamentals because my intentions are only to stay in them for a few days to a few weeks. But one thing I do differently is options. So if the stock is optionable and liquid enough and the premiums make sense, then I would lean more towards doing the options. But if not, I just trade the shares, combination of both. But yeah, I purely trade off the charts for swing trading as well. Mr. Delgado, what is the uptick rule? So the uptick rule is when a stock drops 10% or more in a single day, that's when it will trigger the uptick rule. On certain platforms, it will show up as SSR, short sale restriction, and it means exactly that. They place a restriction on shorting. So someone has to buy it and have the price uptick in order for me to short it and get filled on it. And they made this stupid rule in hopes of having the stocks not completely free fall when it crashes. And I call it stupid because I short all the time and it gets harder to get filled on the shares that I want to short. So there's times when I would go long on the stock and I would get stopped out and lose on it. And then my next trade, I try to go short, ends up being a home run but I didn't get filled on it because it was on an uptick. So I can't make money even when I'm right, and that can be frustrating. Jack asks, what do you think about algorithmic trading? Have you experimented at all? I have no experience with algo trading. The closest I've gotten was for managing my swing positions, but for day trading, I don't see myself doing that just because I feel like there's so many variables for the way I trade, how I manage market timing, market conditions, the amount of strategies that I trade. So it's always like game time decision for me, feel out the market, see what I want to press the gas pedals on. But if I did mess with any of that, it would probably be more on the swing trading side of it. Josh, what percentage of day traders actually make it? Well, what percentage of doctors make it out of med school? What percentage of lawyers make it out of law school? Who the fuck cares, right? What matters most is how bad do I want this? And am I willing to make the sacrifices and show up every single day, put in the work to make this happen? Anything less than 100% effort means I didn't truly give it my all. All right, next question from Albert. Shout out to Albert. Do you have a hard time stepping away from trading daily, especially if you get good? For me to completely step away, I would say yes. I've been trading for 6 years now, every single day, and I've only missed probably like 5 days. And it's because I like to keep a pulse in the market. I like to know what's happening so that I can be in tune with the market. So it's very hard for me to completely step away. Now, if it's extremely slow, nothing to do, stepping away early for the day, very easy to do. From Lazy Eyes, are you for or against prop firms? I would say I'm neutral. I've never traded with a prop firm, but I have been invited by a few, but I don't have any experience with them at all, so couldn't say. Next question, Dihatchainari Runa Chalam. What is your most effective strategy till date? Scalping, 1, 2, 3, continuation, climactics, etc. Whatever is working best at the time, but given that everything is equal, I prefer scalping. I would say that's like my bread and butter. That's my favorite thing to do. I have an absolute blast when it's an awesome scalping environment. Mr. Robot, what books do you think are valuable? Would you ever get into algo trading? For trading, the books that were most helpful for me were psychology books. So Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas, that's my favorite one. And even poker books on psychology. Those carried over for me as well. Coquillo, MTB. Studying finance is going to help me in day trading. I didn't, and I was able to find success in it. So I definitely don't think it's necessary for the way I day trade at least. But either way, knowledge never hurt anybody. Second Son asks how to prepare for unforeseen circumstances that might affect the positions that we have already taken. There's not much I can do about the 9/11s, the COVIDs, but what I can do is limit my exposure. So only allocating 1 to 2% of my account size to any one position. That will help me keep me alive during any sort of black swan event. And also, I think it's mandatory to know how to use options for insurance, to hedge, and things of that nature. MK asks how long it took you to become consistently profitable, how you deal with series of red days. It took me 5 months to get to break even, and how I deal with a series of red days, a losing streak, is I would lower my risk to as low as even $5 from 500 and try to dissect what the issue is. Is it just a bad market? Is it something I'm doing? And once I start to gain my confidence back, once I see that the issue is fixed and I see my strategy working again, then I can start to slowly climb back up to what I'm comfortable with and work my way back up to where I'm at. The Wolf, how do you determine when an edge or strategy is no longer valid? I made an Excel sheet where I track all of my trades. And again, I trade a bunch of different strategies. So if I see a string of red coming out of one strategy, then I can pinpoint that out and dial down that strategy, put that in the back burner. Now I don't completely disregard it. I still track it. Even though I may not take the trades, I would review it to see if it's starting to pick up again, and then I could start trading that strategy again. Yeah, it's a lot of hours that it takes to do all the tracking, but very necessary if I want to be successful. Next question comes from, oh my God, what is this? Astro Chimp. So when you have a trading strategy that you know works and start experiencing success with it, but then sometimes you feel so confident in it that you start deviating from it, like taking earlier entries, exit early because you think the setup isn't valid anymore? What do you do to stay on track with your strategy? Also, would this be grouped in with psychology, or is it about trusting your setups? Think of it like this, right? If I'm cooking, right? If I'm cooking and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, I may need to follow a recipe to make a delicious meal. But if I'm an experienced chef, now I can get a little bit more creative and use kind of what the ingredients that are available and still kind of cook something up. But if I don't know what I'm doing, it's going to be hard to use that and do the same and make something successful out of it. So to me, trading is similar in that way, where I always say it's never black and white. There's some sort of finesse in it. You know, at this point in my career, I'm pretty experienced to where I can bend the rules, use what I got, do a little bit of this, right? But if you're not experienced and you're trying to mix and match and trying to get lucky, there's that difference that you can kind of place a line in between. JC asks taxes. What process do you have for tracking and reporting taxes, and what percentage do you expect to pay in taxes? Any information on this subject would be great. Yeah, tax questions are always difficult. I just give everything to my CPA, give everything that he asks for, whatever he needs, and let him handle everything. The best person to talk to about taxes is your own CPA. Whatever state we live in, whatever tax bracket we're in, whatever investments we have is all gonna vary. So best person to talk to is a CPA, hopefully one that is very familiar with day trading. And then last question from Ashay. Most traders only sit during the morning session before 12 p.m. when London and New York intersects. Has trading both sessions, morning and afternoon, increased their profitability significantly? So recently I hit a personal all-time record for most profits made in a day in my day trading account. And that's because I traded the afternoon. And of course, there's days where it would have been better off leaving early, not trading the afternoon, because I would end up giving back. But overall, I would say yes. I just got to make sure that I don't get bored and start over trading and be disciplined enough to be able to sit on hands if there is nothing going on. All right, so those were your questions. Hope that was helpful. If it was, make sure to hit that like button. If you have any follow-up questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll answer them there. But for now, as always, I appreciate you for being here. I hope to see you on the next one. Peace. Oh.